Thank you. So, Your Excellency and dear colleagues, I'm going to talk a little bit about the externalities that are hitting higher education now. We all heard about artificial intelligence. We all heard about robotics. We all heard about intelligent systems. Now, we are expecting that in the next 15 years, 45% of the jobs we know are going to disappear. Numerous studies have documented that. Oxford University, McKinsey, Accenture, many outfits have been discussing that. If you think that the jobs that are going to disappear are the muscle jobs, think again. Many jobs that we know, the white-collar jobs involving financial analysis, accounting, etc., a long list, are bound to be hit, are bound to disappear in the next 15 years. This is a major challenge for higher education because on one side, many jobs are disappearing, many jobs we know. On the other side, also, it is the case that we have a constant increase of new jobs that we didn't know of. Data visualization, forensic technology. Now you are hearing more about data analysis is becoming established, but I can give you a long list. Now, why is this a challenge for higher education? Because no one is going to be set for life. It's going, it used to be the case that if I go to college, I have a degree, or if I have 2 degrees, including a master's, or even if I have 3 degrees, I'm set for life. It's no longer the case. So what we have to do in higher education is prepare and educate our students for an ever-changing life. How are we going to do it? Well, when we talk about learners, I want to introduce a distinction between 2 types of learners. The learners who are short on experience, long on time. Those are essentially the undergraduate students that you know. And the second group is the group including the people who are long on experience, short of time. And I'm going to talk about the adults who are in the workplace, and I will come to that second. So let me start with undergraduate education. Let me start with those learners who are short on experience, long on time. What do we do with them? Essentially, in many systems, certainly in the United States, we give them what is called a general education, namely that we say that every student who is leaving college will have to understand a certain number of themes. But those themes are really the liberal arts. And now, what I would like to do is introduce a new concept, the concept of new literacy. Every student graduating today has to master this new literacy. What do I mean by that? They have to, understand technology, have a tech literacy. They have to understand data literacy. There's a difference between the two. Tech literacy is to understand how information science is impacting everything we do. Data literacy is big data, data analytics, that is changing the way also we look at every field. We also have to understand what I call the humanics. The humanics being essentially what makes us humans and distinguish us from machines. And you are going to see that this line is tenuous. But when I talk about humanics, I'm talking about the general traits that will allow us to empathize with others, communications, to communicate with others in various forms, orally, written, etc. That's the traditional liberal arts. This is not going to make us robot-proof. We recall that the goal is to make us robot-proof. So what I'm saying is that the first step is that the whole general education has to be rethought to include tech literacy, to include data literacy, to include humanics. But in addition to that, what undergirds us, what makes us really human, what makes us much more robot-proof, is the ability to create new concepts, to create new ideas, to be entrepreneurial, to understand different cultures, to be global. Those cognitive capacities are essential, and higher education has not focused on them. So the two layers that we need are what I call the new literacy, that includes the tech literacy, data literacy, humanics. On top of that, you need to focus on what makes us unique as human beings: creativity, entrepreneurship, cultural agility, innovation, systems thinking. We haven't done that. Now, once we know what we need to do, the question is, how are we going to be able to achieve it? We are going to be able to achieve it by bringing an experiential component to the learning. Higher education has created a dichotomy between learning to live and learning to earn a living. Essentially, we created a campus, a beautiful campus, and then we more or less said, you are going to spend 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is, in this beautiful campus. Every once in a while, we'll send you away. And with experiential learning, what you are really doing is building a different model of education. You are integrating the classroom experience with the world experience. So how to do it? We have a model at our university, we have been doing that for 100 years, where the students go on long-term internships for 6 months each, called co-op, and before they go, we prepare them to understand the companies that they are going to apply to. Nothing is given. They have to apply, they have to succeed, and yes, they are paid by the company, and it's not a charity that the company is doing. Once they are there, they have a mentor in the company, and we're in constant touch with them, integrating what they are doing as a learning experience. And when they come back, the integration is fully executed. Now, why is this a powerful model? Let's look at it from the point of view of the learner. With the learner understands what she or he is good at, what he or she is not good at, what they like and what they don't like. The employer also understands whether this person fits the company and the environment. At the same time, from a point of view of learning, when the students come back after an experience like that, they lived it. They lived the company. They lived what happens in Shanghai or what happens in Wall Street or in Cape Town. They can question the traditional learning that is being done. When they go overseas, when they go all over the world, and incidentally, our students go to 140 countries doing their co-ops, and we have 3,000 companies and NGOs working with us, they come back transformed and they transform us. That's the learning. So essentially, it gives them the ability to refine their knowledge, question their knowledge, and constantly evolve with it. That's the beauty of experiential learning. And by the way, at the end, they are job ready. And that's why the companies offer them jobs even before they finish. Now, it means that we have been in tune with what companies need or are looking for. Because the day we don't do that, they don't get the co-ops or the jobs. So essentially what I said so far is rather simple. We have an AI revolution. 45% of the jobs are going to disappear. There are new jobs coming, and essentially we have to get the learners to be ready to learn for life. No one is going to be set for life. And let me move now to the second set. When I started, I said to you there are two sets of learners. Those who are short on experience, long on time, the undergraduate students, and the learners who are long on experience, short of time. Those are the people in the workplace. Machines are getting smarter and smarter. No one is set for life, as I said before. That means that every person will have to retool. Every person will have to be in a lifelong learning environment. Now, that's a major opportunity and a major challenge for universities. Why? Because the universities that we know so far, all over the world, including the universities we have here, including the universities in the United States, have focused essentially in terms of learning on undergraduate learning, plus research and PhDs, but we haven't integrated lifelong learning. Yes, some universities dabble with that, but it's really a peripheral endeavor. Now imagine the situation that your jobs are going to be obsolete. If your jobs are going to be obsolete, you'll have to retool. Otherwise, you're not going to have jobs. And who is going to provide that? Who's going to train you in all these new jobs that are mushrooming now? Universities have given up on that. That's dangerous because you are seeing more and more companies creating what? Universities in their own situation, in their own midst. Now that's our failure, the failure of higher education, because this is not the core business of companies. The core business of companies is to do what they have to do, produce value-added goods or whatever it is. So we are seeing a mushrooming all over the world, including the United States, of companies setting up internal universities. Why? Because this gap is not met by higher education. So higher education is facing a challenge. We can become like the railway industry. The railway industry in the United States said, we are not in the transportation business. We are in the railway business. And what did they miss? The airline revolution. The same thing may happen if we continue to ignore lifelong learning. But lifelong learning is not easily integrated with our own model. Why? Because our own model assumes that you have the learner in a full-time situation. When people have jobs, they cannot afford to go back and spend 2 years in universities. As a matter of fact, I can tell you, in my own university, we used to train people from IBM, for instance, and many other companies, Raytheon, and I can name hundreds of companies. They used to send us for 2 years their executives. They don't want to do that anymore. Why? Because they don't have the time, and when they send them, they lose them because they go elsewhere. So what do we have to do? If lifelong learning is with us and is needed, we have to rethink how we provide our learning. The notion of degree, a full-time degree that will take 2 years, has to be rethought. The notion of certificates has to be introduced. I will get you to start working with me for maybe 6 weeks to understand the beginning of data literacy. I will give you a certificate. Then little by little, if you want to go beyond that, I will give you, you can take another certificate and stack the second and the third and the fourth till you reach a degree. That's an enormous change for higher education, because higher education started by saying, I am building a degree, and then you have to come, and you have to invest 2 years with me. We don't have time to do it. We, in the workforce, we don't have time to do it. So lifelong learning has to change radically. The way we think about it, it has to be integrated in our model in higher education. Second, it's going to force us to think the way we do our work, to rethink the notion of degree. It also is going to force us to start thinking about not providing our learning for people in the workforce only on campus. As a matter of fact, for IBM, we are providing the learning for them in a hybrid way, namely online, on-site, in India, in China, in the Philippines, and in the United States. Similarly, with Amazon, we do that. We do that with EMC, etc. So the university has to come to you. You don't have to come to the university. And I will mention the following. Universities are not geared to providing this. And if we don't do it, we are going to see more and more a proliferation of second-class operations, for-profit operations doing that. And we are going, I'm talking at least in the United States, and we are going to see a proliferation of companies, especially the large companies, starting their own universities internally. That's our failure, the failure of higher education. So what you see in front of us is the following picture. We are at a turning point, at a major turning point. Artificial intelligence is destroying jobs, creating jobs. The implications for higher education are profound, and we have to rethink our models. And that's what my university, Northeastern University, has been doing. We have set up a whole number of campuses all over the United States and in Canada for professionals. We are embedded in companies, but also we are here for individuals, but it forced us to rethink the day we do our business. So a robot-proof education is needed, and I'm going to show you now this video about the strategic plan of our university that has been built for the next 10 years on essentially this point. Thank you very much. Please.